Alright, we are once again working on the 79 Corvette. Now I have a car show coming up in a few weeks. I gotta get this car ready. I gotta make sure it still runs and dries, but I also gotta make sure it looks good ready for the show. So, today we're gonna focus on these rocker trim panels. Now I took them off when I put the side pipes on, and it's time to put them back on. But before I do that, let's paint them up. So I think I got a method going here. So I'm gonna start at 220 or 240, whichever one I have. 240, just doing it dry, and I'm going light, and it doesn't take much to knock this black off. So we'll just knock that off, going by hand. That way we don't get any machine marks in here. Then I'll step up from 240 to 400, and that's probably good enough to spray my paint over it. So let's go knock off the rest of the black. Well, we got the side you see pretty much all sanded down. Now the only part left is the black channel in here. Now this stuff is super thin on there, so I got the idea. If I do some lacquer thinner, put it on here, rub it in, and it's actually coming off. So hey, maybe you could take the whole thing, strip it all down with just lacquer thinner. I think I'll try that with the other one. Since I did sand this, I'm going to have to hit it with a finer grit sand. So I did 240. I'm going to have to hit it with 400 before I paint it, just to make sure you don't see any of that. Now, if you were going to polish this, then you're going to need to go up to something even finer, like 1,000, 1,500, and then hit it with your polish. But yeah, after seeing it this polished aluminum color, I can see why people like the polished look. I just don't know. I don't think it will fit well with my Corvette, just because of the side pipes aren't all that perfect. So here is the rocker panel all mocked up with the polished color, basically just sanded. And yeah, I mean, I can see why people like this look. I just think for this car, black's gonna make it pop better, and it's gonna hide behind the side pipes. It's not gonna be so obvious. If it's this kind of polished color, you're gonna notice it, and it's gonna take some attention away from the side pipes instead of complementing the side pipes. That's my thought. So I gotta go strip the other one, wash them, and then we can paint them. And they're painted. So I painted them a semi-gloss black. It's enamel base paint, and it came out pretty good, nice and flat, not textured at all, too much at all. And I hardly used any at all, like maybe a quarter of a 12-ounce can. I just used a leftover spray can I had, and that got me through it. So I bought 2 cans. I don't need that. I just used my leftover ones, so get some money back there. But yeah, it came out pretty good. And I taped off the top lip, so that will stay polished. Once I remove the tape, I can actually polish that out, make it a little bit more shiny, just to give it a little bit of a defined, help complement everything. So now going back to here, my next struggle is going to be getting the bolts out. As you see here, almost all the bolts had to be drilled out. I just drilled the heads off when I was putting these side pipes on to get the rockers off. So let's see if we can get lucky here. Use some vice grips, attach it to the head, and that's what it's supposed to look like with nothing in there. So don't grab too deep, just grab the screw, twist, and if you can see, it's actually turning. I'm getting lucky. I got this one out of this one here. We are getting lucky. So I'm just gonna keep going. We'll drill out what we have to. We'll use the vice grips where we can. It is now a new day. This is fully dry. Let's put it on, and you can in fact put these on without removing the side pipes or the side headers or anything. So this is really no big deal. We just kind of push it in there, and then we'll line up the bolt holes. And just like that, now we just fit our screws in. So I picked up new screws. These are 1024 machine screws, stainless steel, and I had got some 3/4 inches in length and a couple in 1 inches. I think 1 inch is the way to go, just for future reference. And there we go. One screw holding it all up. I'm going to put anti-seize on all these screws. That way they never have a problem coming off again. And here it is, put on. The black really complements everything, and the polished lip works well with the side pipe. Once the side pipes are all ceramic coated and nice looking, I think that will need to be polished again, and it's just gonna tie everything off. The black is just nice complement with everything else going on, the blue and black. Now the stainless screws, I did just go with the regular color. They didn't have a black option. I probably would have preferred that, but I think they're fine. You can see the screws, which some may not like, but you can always just paint them over. I've seen people do that, but for what it is, I think I'm okay with it. And I kind of like noticing the screws because I know all the work I had to do to get the old screws out and put the new ones in. But so once again, the rundown of the hardware I used: 1024 by 3/4 inch. I used those in the center, the ones that actually have the threaded insert, and then the ones on the ends I used 1 inch, so that's 2 on the end here, 1 on the end there, and I used a nylon lock nut on the back. This is probably overkill. You can get away with just regular nut, but I use this just to make sure that we're all good. And don't forget, apply some anti-seize on all of them if you ever plan on taking this off, or if you want to be nice to the next guy who needs to take it off. Well, things have escalated here on the passenger side. It's not fitting. The side pipe is in the way, and part of the lower part of this fender area. So if you remember, when I was putting this side pipe header on, I had to cut and trim a lot of the bottom of this fender out in order to make room for these primaries to fit in there. So I only cut out the bare minimum in order to get here and not touch and not burn up the fiberglass. So trying to put the metal rocker back in, there's not enough gap between the bottom of the fender here and where this primary is. Now there's a chance I'm going to have to cut a slot into the aluminum rocker in order to fit this top primary, because this one is pretty high up. But I know for sure I need to cut out the bottom section here, make some more room so the panel can fit in there, because there's not enough room between that and the primary right now. So in order to do that, fastest way I believe is just pull out this header. So I'm going to take the side pipe off, take the header off. Luckily it comes off pretty easily. I'll just have to fight with the bolts up there, but shouldn't be a big deal. And then we'll take cutoff wheel. I loosened all the header bolts, pulled out the side pipe, and mocked this up without the side pipe on and the header loose, and it is touching the primary right here. So that's not going to work. I don't want to burn this, and if it's touching, it's going to burn all the paint up that I just painted. So with it touching like that, it rubbed a witness mark here, and this is going to work perfect. So I'm just going to cut a little box out just like that. That should make a little bit of room for the primary to fit up there without making contact. So get my angle grinder, cut a little slot out. This is how much trimming I ended up needing, and it's quite a lot, as you can tell. And using my angle grinder, I can't make it that smooth. I smoothed it down and then used a file to make it good enough to where you're not going to cut yourself, but it's not like they're not round or anything, but that should do the trick. Now it is still very, very close to the side pipes, Now, the only way to get it to where there's no chance of the side pipes touching at all is if I just took this whole section out and only left the trim here, but like that's pretty extensive. I mean, we are already pretty extensive. I'll show you on the back side too. I grinded the lip down and I tried to cut these out, make a little bit of a ledge and a lip for it to sit on, but nice and smooth. It's filed, it's not going to cut me. Let's throw it in. As you can see, it is not touching the rocker panel. There is ever so slightly just a bit of a gap all the way around. That is awesome. Now, who knows how well this paint will hold up, but at least it's not touching. And that's gonna do it. I'll give you a quick walk around. We just washed the cars. It's looking nice and good. So the black really complements it. I'm glad semi-gloss was the choice. Gloss would just be too reflective and distracting. Semi-gloss just complements, which works perfectly with the rest of the blue on the car. And you really can't even see it, which is good. I don't want it to be an eyesore. I want it to complement everything. But everything looks good, and get you zoomed in closer here on the damage I had to cut up. And really, other than this mark right here where you can see that I cut, you really can't tell at all. So that's a job well done. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.